change, this global initiative to change the way that we perceive ourselves as men, single, divorced, and bonus dads. Thank you so much for taking those steps, for mental clarity, for hope, for vision, for all of those things that you've been wanting to do, and you've been able to propel yourself into that next level, that next part of your life that says, I can and I will and I must. Like my good friend, my digital mentor, Eric E.T., the hip hop preacher, says. Listen, this episode is going to be one that I'm super excited about. They're all excited, but the theme of this one is forgiveness. Forgiveness. And when you understand the process in the brain, what it does and the triggers, and understanding how to forgive on a level, on a global level, but on an individual level, on a level that activates your brain to say, hey, look, the past is in the past. The future is tomorrow, but today is the greatest day ever. The greatest day ever. Like my good friend Craig Smith says, part of the greatest day mindset. So thank you, all of you. Thank you so much for liking and sharing and subscribing. Thank you for those that have signed up for the app. I got a lot of really good things that are coming out on that app. A lot of really good contests that are coming, but that's yet to come. And we'll keep you guys informed and update. And thank you for those of you that have taken the challenge, a 30-day transformation, and are seeing those massive transformations in your life. Guys, listen, let's get real about a couple of things. When I was a divorced father of 4 beautiful children, when I had gained custody, sole custody of my kids, when I had gained what I was going after, which was not winning, but I wanted to, no, it was a lie. It was winning. That was 100%. Let's just call it what it is, right? We don't bullcrap on this episode. We don't bullcrap at all. It was winning. I wanted to win. I wanted to win so bad because I wanted to raise my children the way that I knew would be the best for them at that period of time. What I did not realize, though, is when I started the process and the journey, and when in 2014 I was awarded temporary custody, and then later on in that year, in August 2014, I gained sole custody. I had done what I had set out to do, which was stay the course, be better, and provide. That was what I was going for. Now, a lot of us have these ebb and flows. A lot of us have this emotional roller coaster that as men, we don't know how to handle. We just have never been taught how to handle these emotions, right? We have been conditioned to say, you are the strength and the beacon and the rock, which is 100% true. And I had to figure out, now that I had full custody of sole custody of my 4 beautiful children, I had to work on the brain. I had to work on the mindset of I can be better now because the demand is so much higher. If I screw up, if I slip up, if I do one simple thing wrong, it's going to be cascaded for all to see. And my thought process was I couldn't do what I wanted to do at that time because I felt like I had to be so systematic and in such a box that I pulled back on developing and understanding who I was as a human being, more importantly as a man, more importantly as a father figure. There were nights when I would sit and look in the mirror and go, okay, now that I basically did what I wanted to do. I sought out and I got it. Now what do I do? Now what is the purpose? What is the purpose of now what I have? I have my children, which is great. And don't get me wrong, it was fantastic that I had them. But now what? Now where is the progress? Where's the motion? Where is the movement? Where's that kick that I had? Because during those 2 years, during that custody hearing and those battles and going and driving all that time, I had vision and purpose. I knew that, okay, if we could do this milestone, then we go here. And then we would pivot. I didn't know how to pivot now. I had them and I was like, now what? Now what do I do? There's no book that teaches you. There's nothing. The circle of influence I had, they weren't a part of that divorced dad. They weren't a part of that single manhood. They just didn't know how to relate. And I didn't know how to ask the right questions, and they didn't know how to give the right answers. What they wouldn't know how to do is they were like, look, if you just need us to listen, we can just listen. I'm like, perfect. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. That was the thing for me. I didn't know what I was doing. I got what I wanted, but now what? My brain was like, okay, where's the focus and where's the drive? Listen to this. What I was doing was masking the forgiveness part. What I was doing was I was sidestepping, and I was spinning, and I was juking, and I was jumping over, and I was pushing off what I have done before, which was just bury it and bury it and bury the pain and bury the hurt and bury all that. You just bury it all because that's just what you were accustomed to. That's what I was accustomed to. Just bury everything, and eventually I'll get to it. Eventually I'll get to that point. What I didn't realize was how it was hurting me is in the development process is now that I'm this labeled divorced dad with these 4 beautiful children, what I didn't click in my brain was they were looking to me, okay, now what? Now what do we do? Do we go back to a life that we remembered? Do we continue a path that was going back and forth, or are we going to explore and do something better and greater? And because I was so confused, I didn't know how to process the next step or the next evolution of my life. Not only my life, but the lives of my children. And I didn't know how to process and really hone in on those simplistic things, those things that I had learned, those things that I knew that were important, those things that had to be taught to myself and then to my children. So here's something interesting. Forgiveness reduces stress by 20%, according to the Journal of Health Psychology, published back in 2019. Let me say that again. Forgiveness reduces stress by 20%. 20%. Crap, man, if I could reduce my stress level by 20% at that time, I think I would have been in a much better space. Listen, when you are that divorced dad and then you have to take control and you have to move and shift and ebb and flow, there are certain things that I didn't understand that needed to happen. I have two brown boys, I had 2 brown girls. That's what I've got. That's what I had at that time. Well, what comes with girls, right, is when they hit puberty, you've got to figure out how to do that. I'm a dude. I had nothing. I had no clue. No clue. I mean, my daughter will tell you that I was clueless. I was calling people when it happened. I remember when it happened, my daughter went through puberty, and I was like, what the heck do I do? Like, I don't know. I grew up with 4 brothers. My sister came on later on in life. I didn't know. I was like, what the heck? And then my boys started to go through the transformation, right? They went through their own puberty stage, and they went through, how do I develop and what's going on, and things are changing, and I'm feeling weird, and the tingling sensation. What the heck? And you're like, wow, this is a whole new life. This is a whole new perspective. And you would think that as a guy, I would help to relate. Man, we didn't talk about that stuff when we were boys, younger. We didn't talk about that at all. None of that. You just kind of were like, oh, okay, deal with it and move on. But now there's that, and then now there's the emotional aspect of what they were going through, right? The emotional processing that they had to deal with, right? So we were in therapy, and you're like, okay, maybe the therapist will be great for them, and they were, and I'm like, how do I help my children, therapist? How do I help them? I didn't know how to ask the right questions because I didn't know what questions to ask. And then it was like, okay, so now I could get them off to school, and they would get off to school, and I would sit there like they were in school, like the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the day. After that, I'm like, man, what in the world is going on? What in the world is going on? Like, it was just this chaotic structure that just is what it was. And then as I started to reflect, and then I started to process it going backwards, what I realized was I was pushing off the emotions of my children because I was holding at bay the emotions I had inside of myself. And what I found out was not only were my children suffering because they were trying to understand their new dad, because they hadn't lived with me for 2 years, right? They only saw me on the weekend and a 1 hour night phone call. And we didn't have FaceTime, so you just were on speaker. So they were trying to understand how to work with dad. I'm trying to understand how to work with my children. And at the same time, trying to figure my own crap out. And at the same time, if I don't work, then who pays the bills? Blessings. I was blessed a lot with a lot of help and support. The one thing I really needed at that time, and I didn't know, but I could look back and reflect, was I needed to forgive who I was. See, in therapy with my children, I would ask the therapist, okay, what do I need to work on? How can I help my children? What I should have been asking was, based on what my children are telling you, what do I need to do based on my own stuff? Here's what I'm going through. Here's my issues. Here's where my mindset is. Here's where my hurt and my pain, and here's where everything is at. Help me overcome this issue. Help me, because I don't know where else to go. That's what I should have been saying to the therapist. That's what I should have been pleading to the therapist. Don't listen to what I'm saying. I need you to take what my children are saying and my emotions that I'm going through. I need you to tell me, I just need you to tell me, this is what I need to do. This is what, Mr. Gilmore, this is what you need to do. Mr. Gilmore, this is what you need to do. Perfect. I can do that. You need to rip. No. I don't need you to peel back. I need you to rip back the layers of my own issue. I need you to rip them back and say, this is what you need to do. Because I'm a man. That's that's all I need is direction. Do this and this will happen. Do this and this will happen. And if it doesn't happen, don't beat yourself up. Listen to me carefully. Do not beat yourself up if you don't accomplish 100% of it. 1% better today is 100% better at doing nothing. Let me say that again. 1% better today is 100% better at doing nothing. And that's what I needed. That's what I yearn for. My brain, your brain, the way the brain works is it needs something to push. It needs something to fight for. It needs something to focus on, to drive. That's how the male brain works. We're in this constant fight. We're in this constant flight, or in this constant fear, or this constant freeze. We're fighting through 4 major things. Our body responds the best when we know, when we have that fight mode, we have that purpose, focus, direction. That's when we excel the best. When you don't know, you're in the freeze mode, and then you get fear mode, and then you're like flight mode, right? And then you repel everything. Subconsciously, you start to repel everything because it's just easier. It's easier to not work on yourself. It's easier to sit back and blame all your circumstances. It's easier to point the finger at everybody else. It's easier to run away from the pain and the hurt than it is to stand up and say, I am going to fight this. If not for me, then for who? I had 4 beautiful children that I had to fight. I had to retrain my brain. I had to retrain the way that I thought. I had 4 beautiful children that were waiting for me to become the dad that they had always envisioned years ago. Now, when you understand that process, here's what happens. Three major points that happens. Probably a 4th, but 3 for sure. Number 1, here's the number 1 thing that happens. Number 1 is you become a whole new person. You become a person that attracts that which your brain focuses on. You now start to attract better all around. Again, go back to my favorite word in Navajo, hojo, mind, body, soul, and beauty. You start to attract that. You start to say, this is who I am, and this is what I'm attracting. You start to push away that doesn't benefit you at this time, and you start to attract that which you need. That's the first thing that it does. Men, listen to me carefully. You start to reframe this up here then your body, then the universe responds. God says, you're ready for it. I'm going to give you one talent. I'm going to give you this talent and see what you do with it. I'm going to watch what you do with it. Are you going to bury it like the unprofitable servant? Are you going to bury that thing and then come back and say, hey, I was, make up all kinds of excuses? Or are you going to take that talent and run with it? Are you going to start to own and say, yeah, I'm a divorced dad? Absolutely, I am. I got four beautiful children. Man, it's great to be a divorced dad because now I get to move and work on the things that I want. Did I want to be a divorced dad? Absolutely, yeah. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that label, that stigma that sits over the top of you. Nobody wants that looking out into the universe and saying, oh, you're a divorced dad. What did you do? Remember the two things that they always think? Did you cheat? Or did you have an addiction, right? Rhymes with corn. Is that what happened? And regardless if it did or didn't, right now you get to work on you. Number one, retrain it, rebuild it, rethink it. Write things down how you can elevate and prosper and move and push and move forward. The second thing it does starts to build confidence. Confidence breeds habits. Confidence breeds ability to move. Confidence attracts greatness. The more I became confident in who I was as a dad, the more I became confident in who I was in raising beautiful children, the more confident I became in building a company and businesses, the more I had opportunities come up, the more people would reach out, the more people would say, hey, I heard this, heard that. What do you got? What do you think? The more I became the person that I've always wanted to become. A servant-minded individual, help enough people get what they want. You will always live in abundance. Let me say that again. You help enough people achieve what they are looking for, and you will always live in abundance. Abundance has many forms. Monetarily speaking, spiritually speaking, beautiful thinking, right? The mind, the body, again, hojo, mind, body, soul, and beauty. So that's what the number two is, right? Breeds confidence. And that confidence filters down to your children. Because when they see the rock and they see the staple and they see that individual who is confident in what they do now it builds and compounds out of their confidence. And their confidence then starts to boil over. Because now their confidence, they understand you aren't going anywhere. It's the one thing that they know is you aren't going anywhere because you stay true to your word. Remember, your word is your bond. My dad would always tell me, in this life, a man has one thing that will attract everybody, which is his word. Your word is your bond. So when your children see that you're in growth mode and they see that you're changing, you're becoming confident, little by little. Remember, 1% better today is 100% better at nothing. 1% better today is 100% better than doing nothing. So that's the second thing it builds is confidence. So now we have the framework, right? We have it. First, we build this, the mindset, right? Get into the RAS, the reticular activated system. Then you get into the process of building confidence, little step milestones, here, there, here a little, there a little piece here, a little piece there, right? Then you get into that space. Then you get into that space where now you can start the law of attraction. Now I'm going to attract that which I deserve. You deserve to be happy. You deserve abundance of love. You deserve to be better today than you were yesterday. You deserve to live in a space where you can flourish and your truth can come about. That's what you deserve. So now that we focus and now that we build confidence, the third thing that we now focus on is our circle of influence. Our circle of influence now has been waiting for us to get to the space where it now can attract. And that circle of influence is going to be best served with individuals that have the same focus, that have the same drive, that have the same process, and more importantly, that they know who they are little by little. See, my circle of influences went from negative thinking and negative tone to I need to be around positive people all the time. I want to be around positivity because I haven't been really positive about myself for a long, long time. Years it took of just getting beat up mentally, emotionally, getting beat up. So I wanted to be around positive people. That was the circle that I wanted to be around, was positivity. And to do that, I had to get this right and I had to get the confidence right. So then I had to take the biggest step of my life. The biggest step of my life, which was to go to my very first mentor that I had back in end of 2012 into 2013. Sorry, no. My mentor first came to me in the end of 2012, 2013, but I was not ready for him. I was not ready for my mentor. I wasn't. Multi-millionaire, doing extremely well. But there was something about him that at that time, I didn't like. Fast forward to the end of 2014, the same man appeared again. Now, I had seen him throughout the years. I had seen him, been around and gone to different events and saw him there. But then 2014, because I had built on my mind and I built on my confidence, I was ready to attract. I was ready to grow my circle of influence little by little. So when I was ready, there's a saying, when the student is ready, the master will appear. It says the teacher, but I love the master. The master doesn't put up with BS. The master doesn't allow the student to do anything but be great. That's what the master requires. So in 2014, towards the end of 2014, I went to the best mentor that I've had at that point in my life. In that point of my life, he was the greatest person for me. And I went up to him and I said, hey, listen, I'm ready. If you tell me to stand on top of my roof in a Speedo and scream for 30 minutes, I'll do it. I want to be where you are. I want to be at the level where you are. Monetarily, obviously. But mentally, that's what I wanted. And he pushed me. He pushed me. He pushed me and challenged me. He challenged me and pushed me and challenged me and pushed me. Now, the one thing I loved about my mentor then was he came from a single mom. He came from a single household. And he said he got tired of watching the struggle. Gave up a great college career that he was going on and built a company that was massive, multi-millionaire. And so he wasn't about to listen to the BS. If I was going to try to BS him, he wasn't about to listen to it. And that's what I needed. That is what I needed, was somebody that was going to hold my feet to the fire and say, shut your freaking mouth. Your issue is not my issue. Let me say that again. Your issue is not my issue. You are here because you want me to help you become a better version of you. And I'm like, absolutely. So he put me on this path of learning. He put me on this path of going outside of my comfort zone. He put me on this path of saying, you're going to own the divorced dad. You're going to own that. You are going to say, damn right, I am a divorced dad of 4 beautiful children. I am working on myself to become greater. But what I do know is this. The more I can forgive myself on day-to-day things, the better my life is going to be. And because that man pushed me, because he pushed me to be better, pushed me to be great, pushed me to see past the tip of my nose, because he pushed me to elevate the way that I thought, the way that I talked, the way that I spoke, because he pushed me to elevate the way that I read, what I read, and purpose of which I was reading, because he elevated the way in which I saw individuals, the way that I could process certain things, the way that I could command certain things, because he pushed me to become better at the little things day in and day out, because he pushed me to set real, actual items and goals, goal setting and mindset training. He pushed me to understand the purpose of my why, the 7-layer bean dip why. He pushed me to understand that where I am today is not where I'm going to be tomorrow and in the future. And he pushed me and instilled me and said, one day, you will be able to command the global change of what is the pandemic of men who are single and divorced. I wasn't married. I wasn't remarried at the time, but he said, you will command the men that are single and divorced. You will be able to say to them and look them in the face the way that I looked you and said, your issues are not my issues. But you can take it one step further and say, your issues are not my issues, but I understand the issue that you're going through. Here's what I did to get through it. If you are wanting to that, then let's go. Let's ride. Let's link arm in arm and let's move. Shut your freaking mouth. Nobody wants to hear the negativity anymore. Nobody wants to hear the woe is me attitude. Nobody wants to hear you crying about certain things. Nobody wants to hear it, not you, and definitely not your children. He said, one day you'll be able to look people dead in the eye and say, listen to me. Because I made small incremental changes day in and day out, I now get to live in abundance. I now get to look back and say, man, look at all the things that we've been able to accomplish. I now be able to say, listen, I will tell you that if you follow the process, if you follow the structure, if you follow what I'm teaching you, if you put 100% of your soul into it, you cannot fail. The only way that you will fail is if you quit. And if you quit, you're not quitting on yourself. You're quitting on generational change. That's what you're quitting on. Man, I needed that. I needed that as the divorced dad. And that shook me. And he challenged me and he pushed me. I am where I am today because of that man's greatness, because of that man looking me dead in the face and saying, your issues are not my issues. You are here because you want change. And change is hard. It's the road less traveled. But when you travel that road, you get to see other people that are struggling and pushing and grinding, but they're doing it with a smile. And then you can say, yeah, you're a peculiar individual. What are you doing? And then you get to link one arm here and one arm here and put people on your back. And then you get to be that leader that helps. Divorced dads, listen to me. Forgive yourself the fastest way possible. And if you need help, and if you're struggling, and if you're like, where do I start? This is the one, I'll put this plug in there. My 30-day transformation is the only person that teaches this. I will match that up against anybody. My 30-day transformation is, I'm the only one who teaches it because of this point. Because it comes from the single, divorced, and bonus dad mindset perspective. Nobody else teaches it the way that I teach it. Nobody else understands what individuals are going through. Men are going through. Nobody can teach it at the level that I teach it because they haven't been there. And if they have, they're not at the space where it commands others. So if you have not, get signed up. Change your life. 30 minutes a day for 30 days. And if you put your heart and soul into it, you will be unrecognizable by the end. If you found value in this, please like, share, and subscribe. Send it to somebody who needs to hear it. And at the end of the day, you will become the best version of yourself because you're not quitting. I love you, boys. Go crush it.